you may be thinking, wait, don't we already know SKULD and Subject X have an extremely high chance of being the same person? And I'm of the same belief, but there's actually some people that don't believe it, and there's still people catching up with the lore and theories I hear mentioned, but they may not know why in detail that may want to know too. And there's some that are even caught up that may not know even just how deep this actually goes. So even for y'all that are caught up, this video is going to be for you too. So that's what I'm gonna do today. Prove why I'm 100% convinced that SKULD and Subject X are the exact same person. But let's get it rolling already. If you know me and my theories, I always reference some of the thickest info pieces in the series, the regular and secret reports across all the games in fact, but pertaining to SKULD being Subject X and vice versa, almost all we need for the foundation is in Kingdom Hearts 3 secret reports, while being further solidified in the games around it, mainly Kingdom Hearts 3 and Union Cross. For now, let's start off with Kingdom Hearts 3 secret report number 1. It reads, "Am I alive? I awoke in a cell, alone until the researchers came with their tests and their prodding to uncover my identity. I had no answer to offer them. 4 friends and a key. That is the total sum of my memory. I could not even recall my name. I was simply called X there. My only solace was the time I spent talking with 2 boys who would visit me from time to time. One day, a man came to take me from my prison. I could not see him for the darkness, save that he wore an eye patch. Even now, years on, I feel no closer to understanding who or what I am. May my heart be my guiding key. Unknown." Now, I didn't just start with this because it's the first one, but because of it connecting to the rest in the best possible way with how much there is to unpack. First, we know from this that X was being kept captive and experimented on. Remember that. But for now, note the other 3 out of the 4 biggest pieces to connecting X to SKULD. 4 friends and a key. That is the total sum of my memory. My only solace was the time I spent talking with the 2 boys who would visit from time to time. And one day, a man came to take me from the prison. I could not see him for the darkness, save that he wore an eye patch. Even now, years on, I feel no closer to understanding who or what I am. May my heart be my guiding key. These pieces are how we'll connect to the rest of the reports and moments in the other games. Now let's start from the top. 4 friends and a key. That is the total sum of my memory. This factor should be clear. Remember the number of the new Union leaders that were there after the Keyblade War? 5 total. Mentioning the key could mean 2 different things, both of which still can point to SKULD. Key could mean Keyblade, whether in general or a specific one, but it can also mean a key as in a key thing or tool that they needed at the time. I used to think the former, but now I'm starting to lean more towards the latter, especially considering key not being capitalized in the text. There were others among them near the end, but in SKULD's time as a Union leader, her life almost exclusively revolved around the other 4 Union leaders, so of course that would stick the most. But technically, if we were to go solely based on this one quote, it could be any one of the Union leaders. So let's continue. Next important line being, "My only solace was the time I spent talking with the 2 boys who would visit from time to time." Now this one is pretty important. It actually connects to 2 other secret reports and a scene in Kingdom Hearts 3. Secret reports 5 and 6 are both excerpts from Sykes' connected entries. 5 mentions his and Axel's time as some buddies in Radiant Garden, constantly trying to get into the castle, namely because of how famous and important it was to the world, but even more piquing their interest, the darker rumors of human experimentation and even word of screams escaping its walls at night. After many attempts, they finally got in and descended the long spiral staircase at the heart of the castle. Note, that should sound pretty familiar to you all. Think Kingdom Hearts 2, the scene where Xemnas goes to see Aqua's armor, but eventually, even with it being hard to see, it happens. There, framed by a tenuous sliver of light, we found her. Man, we're about to get even deeper. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell if you're enjoying so far, man. Put hashtag Subject S on your comment if you're still here. But let's keep it pushing. Y'all know I'd like to give y'all a little break here and there to ease the minds, but we gotta keep going now. So, the one they found was a her. Not only that, but report 6 also says that it was too dim to make out her features. They could still talk to her though, but she had no answers or memories, but they still wanted to help her out. No memories. Sounds just like the X that was experimented on in report 1. Not only that, but one day when they came to see her, she was no longer in the castle, foiling their plans of rescuing her for good from being imprisoned in a place that was meant to be a savior to that world. Fun fact, there's actually a full scene in Kingdom Hearts 3 about this. The one when Sykes goes to meet Lee before the final battle. They actually talk about this, about how Sykes could never find her no matter how hard he tried, that being a big reason for his actions this whole time. So not only does this link with the main games and the experimented on being of X from the first report, but also expanding that this X was for sure in the more recent era. The timeline shows us it was around the birth by sleep era because we even see Lee and Isaac trying to go to the castle in that game. And of course, that this X was a woman. And since it shows a tie to the first report, that means X was a woman out of a total of 5 friends in the key. With this new info in mind, let's take it back to when we mentioned earlier about this female X being experimented on. This gives direct links to Secret Reports 3 and 4, the two with the most amount of details about X that link her to being SKULD. Now, Secret Reports 3 and 4 discuss the experimentation on Subject X in depth. These experiments, done by none other than our good friend Apprentice Xehanort. Entries titled Experiments of the Heart, Notes on Subject X, Excerpts 1 and 2. Report 3 mentions Xehanort finding Subject X in the square not long after dawn, then being female, approximately 15 years old, and that she showed signs of amnesia and the fact that she departed her home world with others but can't recall theirs or her own name, no matter what he tries, noting how she's devoid of memories just like him. So because Anson the Wise ceased Experiments of the Heart, he wants to continue himself, not just for him, but that because traversing the heart gives a direct path into memories, and it could be beneficial for her too in the long run, because he's already regained parts of his own lost past, which is why at the end, it shows he's recognizing the phrase she keeps muttering, "May your heart be your guiding key," as shown by the ellipses after he says that. So in this, we learned her age, another big piece to the puzzle. Now, report 4 is when the big guns come out, and I quote, "Subject's memories have not returned. What fragments can be gleaned evoke a bygone world like one out of fairy tales. As improbable as it seems, the question may not be where she has come from, but when. If she truly has crossed through time, the prospect of probing her heart is all the more compelling. My pilot's studies used a handful of subjects, but none possessed the fortitude to endure them. Ultimately, all suffered mental collapse. I knew it would be a heavy blow to lose a subject as unique as she." This is huge. So on top of knowing that Subject X is a woman with amnesia that only remembers 4 friends and the key, as well as the famous phrase from the Master of Masters, she's also 15 years old, and the fragments he could get out of her showed a world like out of fairy tales, and the suggestion that she traveled through time. We know that the time of Daybreak Town and the Foretellers and the Dandelions and the Keyblade War was the age of fairy tales. And not only that, Xehanort deduces Subject X most likely traveled through time, and we know of course that SKULD did travel through time at the end of Unit Cross, and we can definitely theorize that when she did, just like Ventus and Loria and Elrina, she easily could have lost all or a majority of her memory of that era just like they did. But remember, we have one last piece to add to the puzzle. Don't think I forgot, there's still one more line we gotta get through. The final line from Report 1 I want to discuss. "One day a man came to take me from the prison. I could not see him for the darkness, save that he wore an eye patch. Even now, years on, I feel no closer to understanding who or what I am." And we can assume, based on our knowledge taken so far, who this is. All the evidence of X very well being SKULD, but also that these experiments were carried out by Apprentice Xehanort, and it was in the birth by sleep era as proven by Lee and Isaac's interactions with her. And we all know Braig was also a big man in the castle at the time. He didn't need to be undercover about taking SKULD either, because at the end of Report 4, Apprentice Xehanort mentions how Anson the Wise caught wind of what he was doing and ordered the release of all of Apprentice Xehanort's subjects. And if Braig was the one to follow that order, it links to part of what remains of his role as mentioned in Secret Reports 11 and 12, even further connecting Subject X as being SKULD. Now, Secret Reports 11 and 12 are about Lushu's overseeing of the events of the end of Union Cross, even in 12 mentioning how he bequeathed his Keyblade to one of the Union leaders. Now, since we see Brain with it in the Union Cross finale, I don't know if this proves that wasn't Lushu in his body, or if him passing the key did include passing his heart into his body as well, because he only mentions needing to cast his body aside after he said he bequeathed the Keyblade to one of the 5, but that's off topic. That's off topic. If you want to see a theory on that, though, let me know in the comments and I'll do it. But anyways, in discussing the 5 Union leaders, he bequeaths his key, sees the 5 jump to another world line, but that specifically in time, be it years or decades, centuries or millennia, I will meet the 5 once more. He intends on meeting the 5 new Union leaders in the future era, and since SKULD is one of them, he for sure would need her, which is why Braig was for sure the one that took SKULD, hidden behind Ansem's request to free the subjects, and how X mentions that the one that freed her wore an eye patch. Now let's all take a breather and sum it all up. Let's go down the list and compare the two. SKULD versus Subject X. A young woman, time traveled from a fairy tale era, memory legendary loss, 4 friends and an important key, and needed by Luciu. Honestly, with all that being said and demonstrated, there's really nothing else I need to say, except of course, begin the discussion. Do you all think Subject X is gold? If you didn't before, do you now? If you thought so but didn't know why, did I inform you well enough? And if you thought so and did know, did I at least give you any new important information at all to add on to your knowledge? Any of the above and more in the comments. Get the ball rolling. Like I said, put hashtag Subject S anywhere in your comment down below. Thank you all for watching. Like if you enjoyed, subscribe, and hit the bell so you get notified when I upload and stream if you haven't done so already. In which case, what you doing? Sub and get notified for the hype drops. I got plenty more coming. See you all in the next video.